and I always had this fantasy of having a harem. It's been like a sex fantasy for many years that you have this unlimited access to a female company. I think most men have experienced that, but I was in my late 50s at that time. I mean, and when I talked about it, people would say, forget that, that's never going to happen.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the #1 sugar dating podcast in Denmark and the rest of the world, where we pull back the curtains on the good and the bad. And Lily,
the taboo philosophist.
Yes, but the shocking stories of sugar dating. I have no idea what's coming out of your mouth every time we do this.
I know.
And that's the fun of it.
That's the shocking part.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, are you ready for the Shakira party yet?
I'm fully invested. I bought a dress.
You did already?
That's very Shakira-esque.
Okay, if you guys have not heard, we have opened up applications for Sugar Palooza 5, or as Lily likes to call it, Shakira Palooza. Mm-hmm. I am in the process of securing more spots, but as of today, and this was hopefully going to change, but as of today, we are giving away 10 Sugar Baby packages. Includes 3 days, 2 nights in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. And let me tell you, in November, it is the best, right? It
so
is
wonderful.
The best.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, and we'll have like a mixer. It'll be very similar to our last party, and then we're going to have a pre-party the day of the Shakira concert, which is on a Thursday this year. So this party runs Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. A little bit different, but we're still going to structure it very similar. We got a party bus picking us up, taking us down to Footprint Arena, where we will have a private suite. Now, this one is dead center stage. I mean, you cannot go wrong there. It includes food and drinks. It is absolutely the way to go. Flying first class here. The Shakira concert is in high demand. Lily, I don't know if you have looked. The concert's sold out. The resale prices, it's like the Taylor Swift thing. It's outrageous.
Astronomical.
The prices of tickets. She's only doing like 14 concerts.
Oh.
And she hasn't toured in a long time. So this party is in high demand. It's going to be a lot of fun. The party bus will then take us home. Who knows what will happen after the party. And then Friday we'll have a little brunch and then take people to the airport that need to go. A lot of people, though, are talking about staying the weekend. We don't have anything structured that weekend, but if you want to stay and enjoy beautiful Arizona, we would highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. It'll be a lot of fun.
I've been getting algorithm ads for party buses.
Oh, yeah?
Competitor party buses.
Well, I think we're pretty happy with the company.
We're happy with the one we have because I zoomed in on the other one and there was no stripper poles.
Oh, we got to have the stripper poles.
We can't not have stripper poles.
But anyway, you want to get your application in now, like today. Do not wait. And to get priority judging on that, Patreon, our Patreon group, if you become a member of our Patreon group, I'll put a link to it at the bottom of this episode. It's on our website. It's easy to find. It's patreon.com/Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast. Now, it is free to join. Cost you nothing, and you will get some nice things, and we throw some free pictures and scenarios and things to our free members. But to unlock everything that the site has to offer, we have some tiers, and they start as little as $10 a month. It's very, very cheap, especially in today's economy. I mean, $10 is nothing. For an entire month, you get to chat with other members of the site. And that's a lot of fun. People post pictures, they post scenarios, memes. It's a lot of fun. You get to hear all the extra sugars and episodes before anybody else. We post those days early. And so you get to hear those and preview those. You get to see exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos of what's going on with us at the parties, just our daily shenanigans of sugar dating. It's so much fun. And then there's extra perks that we throw in, because we're doing stuff all the time and we have extra rooms sometimes, extra tickets to concerts, extra seat at Maple and Ash or an extra seat at Mastro's or whatever, right? Some of our local people have jumped on those and will continue to do that. And we have profile reviews and coaching available too in some other tiers. Do you enjoy doing that, Lily? Because you do a great job.
I don't hate it.
It's work.
Sometimes I don't have much to work with and I have to ask a ton of questions.
Right.
But if people will feed me enough information, I can do a nice job.
Yeah, you do a great job, and we've helped out so many people. So if you want to get your profile review and some coaching, just make sure you give us all the information, and the more the better, so we can spiffy it up and help you have the best chance of success in sugar dating. Because as we have always said, there are the best people. You can find nuggets of gold in here, but you got to dig through a lot of dirt to do that. And this will help you kind of, keep away from the scammers. It'll help you get the people that are serious. Mm-hmm. So there's a range of people. I mean, we've got a great guest today, and we're going to get into a lot of this, but you've got everything from straight up prostitution going on there. Mm-hmm. And that's why people like to equate it. You guys can call it whatever you want, but it's prostitution. Is it happening? Absolutely, it's happening. But that's one end of the spectrum. And then you got the other end, and you've met my friend. What do we call them? We called them Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I think.
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
All she was looking for was to date an older, successful guy. That's who she was attracted to. It wasn't about the money. Well, I guess it kind of was because he was successful. But she didn't demand money from him. She just wanted somebody to take care of her in a traditional role. And now they're happily married, have kids. I watch them on Instagram. They go on these fabulous vacations. I mean, she's living a dream life. Absolutely dream life. So you can find whatever you're looking for on sugar dating on these websites, and we help you zoom in or zone in on that area that you're looking for. If you're looking for a prostitute, we'll show you how to get one. I mean, they're very easy.
It's not hard.
It's not hard. They proposition me daily, but that's not what I'm looking for. So anyway, enough of that. Anything else, Lily? You look fabulous.
Thank you.
How the girls holding up?
Lovely.
Yeah.
They're just perky.
Yeah. Still no bra required?
No bra. Nope.
So Lily at 54 years old is just, your man's got to be loving this.
He does.
Yeah.
He said it was a very good investment.
Absolutely.
He's happier than I am with the results.
All right. Well, if you guys want to see Lily, you can see her at the party because you're going to come party with us, the crew, and a lot of our guests have been on the show at Sugarpalooza 5. So get that application in on our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com. Okay, on to our guest. The reason I said we're the number one sugar dating podcast in Denmark is because our guest is from Denmark. And he wrote us in a letter. His name's Carsten. And he said, "Hello, Marcus. I'm a Danish author and have been sugar dating for many years. I also wrote a book about creating a harem of 11 sugar babies in Brazil." What?
I can't wait for this story.
Yeah. In parentheses, it says, it's called Our Healing Harem. You can Google the title. It's on Amazon. Well, there you go. I find your honesty relieving, and I have heard several episodes of the podcast. I'm also a friend of Brandon Wade, who's the founder of Seeking. He is now back in his office, and I'm giving him a few ideas to improve the site. Well, we have some ideas too. This year, I created a business where sugar babies can work as surrogate partners, and we're going to have to get into that too. This is the website, still mostly in Danish, www.sexology, spelled SEXOLOGI.net. I'm in Europe, but I'd be happy to make a call when you have time. Let me know if you're interested in this. The above phone number also works on my WhatsApp. Carsten. Okay, we do have Carsten. Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
So it's like past bedtime for a lot of people in Denmark, so we appreciate you staying up and accommodating us during our afternoon hours. Thank you very much.
Great. Yeah.
All right, so what prompted you to write us this letter in? I saw it, and I've been meaning to get to it for a while, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I've been occupied with taboos most of my life. I've always been the kind of guy who said the wrong thing at the wrong time and embarrassed everybody. In the sermon in a church, I always think about sex. If I'm at a funeral, I can't stop myself laughing. And it's
You're that
always
guy,
been
huh?
like, It's always been like that. I just can't help myself. If I'm in a group with a group of people and there's something they are suppressing, I'm always the one to say it. And sometimes that goes very well, and sometimes it goes very bad.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 62.
We just
30
never
years.
lose it, do we?
No, I have this, I'm probably getting younger and younger. And I think working with taboos is extremely healthy for the mind. It keeps you alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I have published 25 books about taboos and always been researching areas of life that people would give their right arm not to talk about. This is, of course, also what brought me to sugar dating, because I've been married a few times. I've been in long-term relationships. When I heard the term sugar dating, I realized that this is basically what I've been doing since I was 16 years old.
How were you doing that at 16?
Yeah, I've always been good with money, and I've always been paying for my girlfriends, and I always enjoyed doing that. But they just didn't, we never called my girlfriend Sugar Babe. So when I heard about this as a thing, as a culture, I thought this is something I need to research, because it's a much more pleasant being with a woman who calls herself a sugar babe, and you can talk about money instead of being with a wife who's ripping you off while pretending that this is love, which it might also be. But I have had some very expensive sugar babes who called themselves my wives.
Yup.
And
Same.
and so when I heard about this culture, I was curious about it. And I decided to become a sugar daddy, like officially, which I've probably always been. So I went to, I was in London, working in London at that time. I had a little company setting extremely wealthy men up with trophy girlfriends. So,
Well, you were a matchmaker?
I was a matchmaker, yeah. I've been doing everything. I've had so many crazy jobs. I was an undertaker last year. It was fun as well.
Wait. You went from a matchmaker all the way to an undertaker?
I mean, it's basically the same thing, you know.
It's not the same thing.
It's all about, you know, addressing areas of life that people are very vulnerable about. I've also worked as a guy, the last guy you talk to before you die. But I had so many. We could talk about this for hours. I've often looked up certain cultures and engaged myself fully in monasteries or certain jobs, and then I wrote some of my books about it. But when I heard about sugar dating, I thought, this is amazing. This is interesting. I just have this little problem that I am what you call a demisexual. I cannot have professional sex. So when I started going out for dates with sugar babes, it was actually usually I would pay them to go out with me for dinner, and then I would spend the time during dinner considering how to avoid having sex with them. Because if there's not the chemistry, I usually would meet a girl 3 or 4 or 5 times before anything could happen, and we had to have extremely good chemistry. For me, there's no difference between sex and a relationship. If I have sex with a woman, it's because I love her and she loves me. So there needs to be, like, maybe not the deep love, but a good, healthy, constructive, mutual attraction. And when I started doing the sugar dating in the first couple of months, it was very hard for me to find anyone where this would actually work, because they would have to be attracted to me without the money. But as most of the girls were looking for money, it was a little bit awkward.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy.
Time is luxury, which is why Polestar spent so much time designing and refining every aspect of Polestar 3, their luxury electric performance SUV, so you can drive with up to 315 miles of range, so you can listen in 3D with up to 25 speakers and Bowers & Wilkins surround sound, and you can seamlessly stay connected with Google built in the entire time you're driving. All to make the time you spend behind the wheel of Polestar 3 the best time of your day. Book your test drive at polestar.com.
Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
But then one day, I had a very interesting experience. A woman called me or wrote me and asked me if I would like to meet her. And I said yes. And we agreed. She said she wanted me to support her financially. We agreed on a certain amount. I think it was £300. And I said, but what happens if we are not attracted to each other? And she said, okay, then I will just leave again. She wanted to come to my flat and we would have a conversation. And if there was attraction, I would support her financially and we would have sex. If there was no attraction, then she would leave again without having any expectations. And I thought that was a very interesting experiment. So when she showed up, she was super beautiful in her mid-20s, very intelligent. We had great conversation. I put the money in an envelope on the table. We were having coffee. I had my guitar there. I was playing. She was singing. We had an amazing time.
Wow. How old were you at this time?
I've been like start 50s, around 50 years.
And she was in her 20s?
Yeah. And then after 20, 30 minutes, she said, okay, so how do you feel? Do you feel attraction? And I said, I think you're a great person. You look amazing, but I don't feel attraction. I have to be honest about that. And she said, okay, that's fine. So she would just be okay about leaving again. And before she left, I said, but you can have the money anyway. And she was very grateful for that. And I said, and if you want, you can hang out. We have more coffee. We talk a bit more. And then after, I think like 20 minutes later, suddenly attraction was there.
I was going to say, I kind of knew where this was going.
Yeah.
Because
it's
all the barriers, the pressure was off now.
Exactly. There no more talk about money. And she was not pretending anything. She was not trying to achieve anything. And I was not trying to achieve anything. Then we started sitting close and we started kissing. And we also had sex. It was nice, but it was not like a super experience and not something we needed to do. It was just playful. And afterwards, I thought, this is really interesting because now I paid this woman. It was one of the first times I had this experience of being a real sugar daddy. But if this had been a normal girlfriend, I would feel obliged to get in touch with her a few days later, not to make her feel bad. But as I had just paid her, then I didn't need to do that. And that was kind of a very interesting experience for me that made me consider that, there is a fine line between prostitution and sugar dating, but this had been a real meeting. And at the same time, I had the advantage that you would normally have with an escort girl. That led me to explore the culture more. And the next 7-8 years, I've been traveling in, I think, 30 countries. I met a lot of girls. I found them on the site. Sometimes I would hire them to be my guide, tour guide. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I would just use it as a social app. It creates good energy when you are very generous with somebody, and you can't really do that on Tinder. It's going to be awkward,
Yeah, it creates a whole different dynamic. And like I've always said, what you had just experienced where with the girl and the pressure was off and now you don't feel obligated to maintain contact with her. I love that about seeking or about sugar dating, I guess. Hey, let's enjoy each other's company, whatever we do, whether it's making dinner at my house or we go out to eat or an event or something. At the end of the night, you go your way, I go mine, and let's do it again sometime. It's just this beautiful non-pressure situation, and it allows people to really grow their feelings organically. If there wasn't this financial exchange where you felt, okay, I've done my part, there's a lot of pressure on, like you said, like, oh man, if it was a girlfriend, I would feel obligated. I need to do this and do that. And all of a sudden it almost gets a little bit resentful because it feels like work.
Yeah. There's so many gray zones you don't address. And for me, who's passionate about taboos, it's sometimes torture that you cannot talk about everything. when you meet a new person. And I also realized how different the sugar dating culture is if you travel in Asia or you travel in Europe or go to Russia or South America. And that also led me to the experiment I told you about in the letter that 3 years ago I went to Brazil because I realized that a lot of the sugar babes there, or women who were registered at these dating websites, they just wanted adventure. And I always had this fantasy of having a harem. It's been like a sex fantasy for many years that you have this unlimited access to a female company. I think most men have experienced that, but I was in my late 50s at that time. I mean, when I talked about it, people would say, forget that, that's never going to happen. But I went to Brazil, I went to Sao Paulo because it's a huge city. I think 15 million people or something like that. I hired 2 women to help me run my dating accounts. And then I just organized meetings with the sugar babes. I invited them to a fancy restaurants in groups of 8 or 10.
Oh my God.
I told them about my vision.
Yeah.
My vision for the harem was more like, you could say, a sexual experimentarium. I've been working a lot with sex. I've had a clinic for years helping both women and men in their process of becoming better at satisfying themselves or each other. And I would, of course, share that knowledge. And some of these meetings were super fun. One of the criteria I had for the girls at these dinners were that they were either bisexual or bi-curious. So if they would join the harem, they would also have the experience of meeting other bi-curious women. So I, of course, knew that if I would have to keep 10 women happy,
that's a tall task. Yeah.
So if they were all bi-curious, I would have more freedom. And one of these dinners developed like 5 of the girls had really good chemistry with each other. They were drinking a lot. I don't drink alcohol, but at a certain time, I decided to leave the party and said I would get back on WhatsApp the next day. But 5 of them were so eager to explore this, so they decided to come along with me to the hotel. And this was a 5-star hotel. Of course, they would not let us in, all of us, to my room. So I had to book rooms for all of them. That became a little bit expensive. But we then met in one of the rooms, and I had a huge bag of what I called my harem survival kit, which was a bag of sex toys, strap-on dildos and all this kind of stuff.
This is wild.
Banking, vibrators. I have a little vibrator. You can connect it to your phone, put it inside the woman, and have fun with her while going out for dinner. And I showed them all this equipment, and they started playing with it. And soon they were into this lesbian gangbang or whatever you would call it.
And you were just an observer?
I was in the middle of this.
Oh,
and I thought,
gosh.
Finally, I have entered heaven.
Yeah.
I have to ask, though, what you're telling us is very, very expensive. What are we doing financially supporting all of this?
I mean, it's not very expensive compared to, like, if you go to Sao Paulo, hotels and dinners. And I think the dinner with 8 women who were drinking like maniacs, a very nice restaurant, was perhaps like 300, 400 euro, which is, I would not say a fortune.
Right.
I have to end the story because when I was in the middle of this female gangbang and I had the most amazing view.
Oh, I bet you did.
I realized that I didn't have an erection. And that was embarrassing. You know, it was too much sex. It was too much. I mean, some years ago, I wrote a book about sex clubs. And every time I entered a sex club and experienced this very hardcore physical sexual setup, it turned me off.
You were overstimulated, perhaps?
Yeah, in a way. It was just too much. when I was with this group of women, there were luckily one of the girls, Maria, that I met several times before, and she and I had a great connection. So when I realized what was going on, I needed to be very close to her. And when being very close to her, I could turn on.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
When I could feel the connection between me and her, because the 4 other girls was purely physical.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was my main learning experience. I ended up finding 11 women, and sometimes we were meeting all of us. Sometimes we were meeting like 5 or 6, and I ended up setting it mostly up as dinners. And one time we did a weekend trip to a hotel. And the longer we did this, the more impotent I got. I always thought this would be the most amazing fantasy, but when I came home from Brazil, I think it took me 3 or 4 months to recover enough to be turned on again.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Now, do you speak Portuguese?
No, I don't. So I also had to find women who could speak English.
Yeah, that's
I
a
was
little bit
going
of
to
a
say,
problem.
was there a safe word?
A safe word.
When you've got that much going on, you should have a safe word.
Yeah, I remember one morning waking up after we had a party. I woke up in a bed with a group of women. And I don't know if you as a man has experienced that. You wake up beside a girlfriend who's very horny and you're afraid of waking her up. You just want to go to the toilet and sleep again, but you wake her up and she's just gonna rape you, you know? So I was thinking, like, with 4 women, if I would wake one of them up and it would start a chain reaction. You know, I'm a pleaser. I have a very hard time leaving a woman if she's craving something. But at that morning, I managed to get out of that bed and get into my own hotel room safely and lock the door from
You
within.
escaped the lion's den.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long did this harem thing go on? And was it just, you didn't have a home where they all lived, you just would meet in groups at a hotel, right?
Yeah, in groups at a hotel, but I rented a big Airbnb house and we would meet there sometimes for dinners and mostly experiments. Like I was teaching them how to give a massage, like an erotic massage, and was teaching them about BDSM, which I've been fascinated with for many years. I had many submissive partners. I also had a slave, a female slave who wanted to be in this kind of 24/7 dynamics. So they were obviously curious about that. They all had different sexual profiles. They all wanted to explore different things. One was very interested in bondage, another in spanking. And yeah, we had a theme for the meeting and explore that for a couple of hours. I didn't expect anyone to show up. I would just invite them, and the girls who showed up were part of the meeting. So it was like an open relationship. They could, of course, have all the partners outside the harem, all the partners they wanted, and be totally transparent about it. Years back, I lived in a poly household with several women, and I'm kind of used to that culture. I love it. So that was how we practiced the harem. I don't know. The word harem is a little bit, it has a negative energy.
Well, and I found that interesting because your title of your book is The Healing Harem, which seems oxymoronic. But tell me why. How was that healing? And was it healing for you or was it healing for the women?
It was healing in that way that I never had the harem fantasy since then.
Oh.
It kind of cured me for
it's
the
no
harem
longer
fantasy.
in your bucket list. You can check the harem box.
And also cured me from my porn addiction. I've always been very attracted to porn. But I think I got an overdose in a very positive sense. And one of the girls in the harem was very close with me. We had this, I would call a soulmate connection. And we started dating afterwards. She's actually currently in Denmark right now. And this is the first time in my life I've been in a monogamous relationship with a woman without having any kind of attraction to other women.
That's interesting.
I mean, I've always been polygamous or whatever you call it. I never felt that I was monogamous. But after the harem, I feel that, the connection I have with her, the energy I feel with her is so strong. I mean, I meet other women that I think are attractive, and I even went for a date recently with a woman I met on Seeking. And we had good chemistry. We were holding hands. We had a great dinner together. And she was beautiful. And there was a very, very nice transparency in our conversation, which I can sometimes also feel is sexual. It can be like, it can turn me on, but I didn't feel attracted, maybe because I am now in a relationship with a woman where everything is possible. She was part of my ultimate sex dream, the harem. And she was kind of the queen bee there. She was helping me organize. And currently, she's also working for me in my clinic.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar.
Time is luxury, which is why Polestar spent so much time designing and refining every aspect of Polestar 3, their luxury electric performance SUV, so you can drive with up to 315 miles of range, so you can listen in 3D with up to 25 speakers and Bowers & Wilkins surround sound, and you can seamlessly stay connected with Google built in the entire time you're driving. All to make the time you spend behind the wheel of Polestar 3 the best time of your day. Book your test drive at polestar.com.
Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
As I said earlier, I've always been working as a sex facilitator. Most of my clients have been women who wanted to explore their sexual presence or who wanted to reignite their sexuality.
What do you charge someone for something like that?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It depends on the length of the meeting and what has to happen, but around €200 for 1.5 hours. But I had grown tired of that. It's hard work if you keep meeting women who have not been taking care of themselves and who have lost their sensuality. But with my sugar babe from Brazil, there was suddenly a new opportunity because she has some of the same ability to be very relaxed and natural in a sexual space. And in that way, it was possible for me to work with men through her. And that's the clinic I'm working at right now. I'm mostly working with men and couples.
So when you work with the men, are you just coaching them or are you bisexual?
No, I'm heterosexual, but usually I'm inviting men and couples into our sexual dynamic. And it started, this is probably a little bit outrageous to most people even to hear about it. But I realized that a lot of guys who are approaching escort girls, they are probably more interested in learning about sex than releasing their sexual tension. So I opened a clinic where I was performing as a sexologist. And during the meetings, I would have sex with my girlfriend while talking to the clients.
Oh, my goodness. See, that's where I'd lose my erection right there because I have to concentrate.
And I tell you, this ignited some amazing conversations.
I bet it did.
I'm not talking about hardcore sex, but it can be like she's undressing, she's naked, she's masturbating. You show the client how you turn her on, how you satisfy her. She's on the floor. She's very submissive. She likes to be in humble positions. So inviting other people into a space like that created an openness and freedom You know, like if you go to a normal sexologist, you just talk about sex, but how is that going to help anyone? I mean, sex is about your senses, it's about your emotions, about your self-esteem. If you invite people who have sexual problems or who are limited sexually into a space where sex is not taboo, you can create an amazing experience, like healing experience.
Yeah. Well, especially
And
since you've said you've experienced the problems with impotence, unless you have a good, strong chemistry and connection, you can relate to these couples who are having problems with the same sort of thing.
yeah, but it's usually not, doesn't have to be the same kind of thing, but it can be like performance anxiety. It can be like last week we had a guy who's a virgin, and he just wanted to be in a space where a woman was turned on while talking about sex.
Was this a 30-year-old
He,
virgin?
he yeah, he was in mid-30s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for him, seeing this, talking about it, seeing how natural it is and how relaxed we were about it was very rewarding for him. And this is an experience you cannot have with a normal therapist, not anyone I know of.
Was this a face-to-face session? Were you all three in the room together?
Yeah, of course.
And
yeah.
how old is your sugar babe?
She's 30.
She's 30. He's in his 30s. So did he get to experience intimacy with your sugar babe?
Our clients cannot have penetration with her, but they can touch her. She can give her a massage. We can address sexuality. I can show them how to satisfy her. It's basically, I usually talk about, we have in Copenhagen something called the experimentarium, where you can go and learn about physics and electricity and stuff like that. But this is a sexual experimentarium where you can learn everything and address any question you have about sexuality and experience it unfold in real life.
Yeah. So he left still a virgin.
He left still a virgin,
But
yeah.
maybe
but
with
not
maybe with the
not
confidence to try this with an actual girl.
exactly. I mean, we had a very funny guy yesterday. He wanted to have a cold drink with me and talk about sex while my submissive sugar babe was performing as our table naked.
Oh, goodness.
So she was the table?
She was the table, yeah. This was an older guy. He's in his late 60s. And for him, this was like heavenly experience.
Did he experience an erection?
Yeah, he was very turned on, but he wants to learn to be more dominant. But the problem was that he was much more concerned about her well-being than she was.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
long did she have to be a table?
It was his idea that she should be the table, but he was constantly saying, "Are you sure she's comfortable? Does it hurt her knees?"
Yeah.
And you can just talk to her. She's just here.
She's right
she was
there.
Ask her.
You know, I went to
She
a
was-
party once. It was in Hollywood. Dan Bilzerian and Steve Aoki hosted it. But we walked in, and the lamps were women. They had shades over their head, and then their breasts were exposed, and then they had like a small little G-string on or something, and they were painted gold. And they were working lamps. What do you say to people that say, "Oh, this is so sexist, and he's just using these women and making them do things that's degrading"? This is all things that they want to do, right?
Exactly. It's a huge fetish, like objectifying, being objectified. A lot of people are very turned on by that. And in my clinic, I get so many messages from men who wants to be objectified. I invited one of them here. We had a setup where I had my submissive sugar babe dominate him as therapy. And we took a picture at the end. We did it with a timer picture with him with a lampshade on his head and his cock cage.
My God,
And
the visual.
she has my table, and I am with my feet on top of her reading a good book.
Oh gosh,
And
The
that's
visual is too
great.
much.
I hope that's in your
I like
book.
the pictures on my website, and I use it because it's very important. A lot of people would say, exactly, this woman, does she want to do this? But if you see a man perform like this, nobody is asking that
I
question.
know, right? Yeah, exactly.
It's absurd. He is as kinky as she is, but there's always this, if I, as an older man, I'm with a younger woman who wants to be my table, there must be something wrong, I must be manipulating her.
Mm-hmm.
But I could never have a submissive woman that I didn't respect intellectually. And you could say the stronger a submissive person is, the more this person is giving themselves when they submit. And that creates a lot of energy.
Hmm.
She's a very strong person. She knows exactly what she wants and what she doesn't want. And she likes being at table.
There you go. So let me ask you, as we're kind of winding down, you said that you had met Brandon Wade, the owner and founder of Seeking. How did that come about?
Yeah, I think it's 3-4 years ago. I was in Las Vegas, and that was after I joined the site. So I was just curious to meet him. And I sent his secretary a mail asking if he wanted to talk to me. I said I was a taboo philosopher. I wrote a lot of books about, you could say, unconventional relationships, open relationships. And he invited me for a coffee, and we had a really good conversation. And while we were talking, he said, "This is so exciting. We need to record it." He had some video man record the conversation. We were talking for an hour or two. After that, I think, oh yeah, we met for a dinner again, and I was in his house. He had, at that point, I don't know, he lives in Las Vegas still, I guess, but he had a huge house a little bit outside town, and I stayed there for the night. And we have been in touch since then. And when I joined the site a couple of months ago after a long break, I wrote him and said, I would like to give you some input on the site, because I think there is a lot of taboos going on that website. It's like the website is trying to show that it's all about real relationships, but there are very few people you meet on that website who are interested in real relationships.
Now, real relationships do happen, and I think he's feeding off of that, but it starts with the non-committal, no pressure sugar dating that's actually going on. And then, like we always say, it allows the organic feelings to happen because the pressure is off. But if you take it down to a core, yeah, it's an exchange of financial compensation for time.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, I wrote an article years ago called Money Can Buy You Love. And it was based on an experience I had when I was sugar dating in London with a girl I was dating for quite some time. And at some point, I told her, I was just curious. So I told her that I was now broke and that we had to, of course, stop dating, as this was a sugar dating relationship. And then she thought about it a few days and came back to me and said, I would actually like to continue without the money.
Really?
And that made it a lot more interesting continuing with the money.
And so did you continue it without any assistance with her going forward?
Yeah, we are still friends. We are still in touch, but we are not dating anymore. But it was just for me like what you call a litmus test to see if there was anything genuine. I felt it, but I was not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the same with my current sugar babe. When after the harem was over and she and I continued, I told her I was broke. I lied. I simply needed to know if she still wanted to to date me.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I really love the freedom we have together. I enjoy our conversation. So if that's the case, then we can continue without the money. And Currently, I'm financing her life, but I'm also expecting her to work as my table now and then,
Oh, yeah,
or
there you go.
whatever happens.
Who needs furniture when you have a submissive girl?
We have a great friendship. And I mean, today I know that if I would lose everything, she would be a very close friend of mine.
Have you always been dominant?
Yeah, I've been dominant since I was, I think, 7, 8 years old. I remember having this extreme urge to tie up the girls when we were playing in the street.
We had another
So,
guest say the same thing.
Yeah.
Master John. Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to tie
I
up
heard
his
that
little
one,
friend
yeah.
in the treehouse or something.
Yeah.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy.
Time is luxury, which is why Polestar spent so much time designing and refining every aspect of Polestar 3, their luxury electric performance SUV, so you can drive with up to 315 miles of range, so you can listen in 3D with up to 25 speakers and Bowers & Wilkins surround sound, and you can seamlessly stay connected with Google built in the entire time you're driving. All to make the time you spend behind the wheel of Polestar 3 the best time of your day. Book your test drive at polestar.com.
Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, I never had submissive fantasies, so it's actually very hard for me to imagine what it feels like wanting to be a table.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like to know, or to be tied up or to be controlled like that. A lot of very dominant people have switched side,
Yeah,
So,
people switch. My first co-host, who also was a sugar baby of mine, Amy, she played a dom actually in a dungeon here in Phoenix. It's a legitimate dungeon, and men go down there, and she basically bosses them around, and they do all kinds of crazy stuff. But she came home one day, and she ordered me to get on my knees, and she started putting me in a submissive state. And it was the most uncomfortable thing because I didn't expect it. I've never done it. And after about 20 or 30 seconds, I go, what is this bullshit? I got off of my knees. I said, look, I don't like this. It doesn't feel comfortable. This is not where I'm at. And she's like, okay. Anyway, I was just still in my dom mode. So she tried it on me, and it just didn't work.
But that's a very good idea. I mean, it's good of you to try it out. I do the same thing. I also tried to be a submissive with my table woman, but we just end up laughing.
Yeah, that's what happened too.
I always have this, I want to try things. I want to know if this is really true about especially if I have secrets for myself. I mean, I was in Rio de Janeiro last year, and I had a really, really funny experience with an Airbnb host, a very handsome man who looked like a superhero from an American action film. And he met me at the flat and showed me around. And then he said, while he was showing me the flat, he said, we have very good chemistry. And he kept talking about it. And I said, yeah, I feel it too. And he said, why don't we go to the bedroom and I give you a blowjob?
Oh, my goodness.
And I said, yeah, but I'm heterosexual. And he said, I don't care. I'm not doing it for your sake. So I thought, why not? I mean, let's see what happens. But when I had this huge muscular guy on his knees in front of me, I would say, that would have been impossible for me to create an erection in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Did he give it a go? Did he really try?
Yeah. He was very, very talented. And then I said, as you can see, nothing happens. I'm heterosexual. I'm sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, okay, watch some straight porn on your phone. It will help you. I tried watching a video of me and my Brazilian girlfriend having sex, but it didn't help. So he wanted to see the video.
Yeah.
Of
And
course
when he saw it, when he saw the video, he said, can I come back tonight and have sex with your girlfriend instead?
Oh,
it might
my
work
goodness.
better.
This was quite the Airbnb host. He was very accommodating.
Yeah. When we looked at his reviews, he had only 5-star reviews. And they'd also said there was a
gosh.
present for new guests. I'm sure oral sex was the present.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I think we're going to end it on that one. We're out of
you
time
decide.
anyway.
Whatever.
Marcus is an Airbnb host. Have you ever been that accommodating with a guest?
So I've had some interesting propositions kind of put my direction, but I'm so hesitant to cross the line. I haven't done it yet. Of course, you always think about it, what ifs, but I had a girl, she was Asian, I think, and pretty hot. She actually went out to my pool and was sunbathing nude. And of course I walk in and I'm like, because she'd already invited me to have brunch with her that morning. And I said, well, I've got to go to work. So I came back to do some stuff in my office because I work from home. And I see that she's nude sunbathing. I'm like, okay, is this the moment I walk outside or do I walk into my office and just ignore what's going on out there?
What did you do?
I walked into my office because I'm just like, I don't know which path to go, because she was obviously doing it in front of me to elicit something.
How do you begin the conversation? Is it hot enough out here for you?
Right. So, yeah.
I had a funny experience with, I often heard sugar babes saying when they've been sugar dating for some time, they think it's a waste of time having sex with men for free.
Yeah, we hear that now. Yeah.
And I realized when we started the clinic, we would sometimes, me and my girlfriend would have sex with the clients here. And we ended up not like talking in the evening saying, can we be bothered to have sex when nobody is paying us? That was a crazy situation.
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on. I'm sure your stories go on for hours and hours, so we'll have to see about getting you back on soon. But you've lived an interesting life, sir. That is for sure.
You can digest and get back to me.
Yeah.
But I've been writing, as I told you, 25 books about taboos, and some of these stories are really crazy. I think it expands a person's mind to explore areas of life that is hidden. Mm-hmm. For me, it's always been spiritually very rewarding.
Well, very good. Well, if you guys want to share your crazy sugar dating stories like Carsten did, he just wrote us a message on I think you went to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, found us there.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, he wrote us in, we got it, and now here he is on the show, and we love to hear those stories. So visit our site. We'd love to hear from you. And then, of course, our Patreon group. That is where the action is. We want you to be a member. Even if it's free, we welcome you there so you can, experience the group, like our family. It's growing. I think we have over 300 and something members now, and it's just growing. We just started a few months ago. So we're very, very happy with how it's going. We're just going to keep pouring more information, more pictures and behind the scenes videos and all kinds of perks on there. And of course, if you're applying for our party, you definitely want to be a member because you're going to get priority judging on that. Lily, anything else?
If you want to check out Carsten's website, it's www.sexology.net, and sexology is with an I, not a Y.
Yeah, very good. Well, Carsten, any parting words that you have?
No, I think it's been fun talking to you. So I don't think anything else is important right now. Maybe everybody's welcome to write me. I'm very responsive. And I also have a podcast with only one episode called, I can't even remember the title, Taboos for the Open-Minded, it's called.
Taboos for the Open-Minded. There you
It
go.
has 3 downloads.
Oh, there you go. Do you have Instagram page?
No, I'm not on Instagram.
Okay.
Not very active, though. I can send it if you want to put it in the notes.
All right. Well, have a good time there in Denmark. It's probably your bedtime, or I don't know what time you go to bed, but usually at 10. I'm in bed. Lily's probably in bed.
Yes. I'm asleep by 10 most nights.
Well, it's 11 now there, but again, we really, really appreciate you joining us. And until next time, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. Bye for now.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.